I would like to welcome you to the Community College of Baltimore County, and I would like to welcome you to dcom 101, Introduction to Data Communications. My name is Dan Whitaker, and I will be your instructor in this online course. In this course introduction, we will discuss the purpose of the class, the topics we will be covering, the format of the class, grading, and what you need to do to get started. Let's start out with the purpose of the class. The purpose of the class is to provide the student with an overview of the principles, practices, and technologies of data communications and computer networking. A second purpose of the course is to prepare the student for a career as network technician, network administrator, or network engineer. And that is our primary target audience in this course. Students who are preparing for careers as network technicians or network engineers. Now, this course is also an elective or a distribution for people majoring in other programs such as nursing, programming, or engineering. Now let's discuss the topics, that is to say, what we will be covering in this class. If we go to the table of contents for our textbook, which is available at the bookstore or online, we will see there are 13 chapters. So let's briefly look at each chapter. Chapter 1, Introduction to Networking, is where we look at the components of a network. We talk about clients and servers. We discuss what is a peer-to-peer network and what is a client-server network. Chapter 2, Network Hardware Overview, is where we discuss network interface cards, switches, routers, and wireless access points. Chapter 3, we discuss topologies and technologies. We discuss the star, bus, and ring topologies, and we discuss technologies including old 10 base T, 100 base T, and 1000 base T, which is also called Gigabit Ethernet, and we will talk about some others as well. Chapter 4 is where we talk about cabling. Twisted pair cabling is the most common type of cabling you're going to see in a local area network. We will look at coaxial cabling and at fiber optic. Then we will discuss wireless and Wi-Fi. Chapter 5 is the longest and hardest chapter in the book. It's all about the TCP/IP protocol, which is used to allow computers to communicate. We talk about IP, which stands for the Internet Protocol. We see that DHCP, the Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, is used to issue IP addresses to workstations. And then we look at the difference between public and private IP addressing. Chapter 6 is a nice short chapter. In Chapter 6, we discuss the OSI model, and we talk about IEEE, the Institute of Electronic and Electrical Engineers. Chapter 7 is where we look at hardware in greater depth. We look at the difference between a hub and a switch and a router, and under what circumstances you would select a hub versus a switch versus a router. And we cover wireless configuration. In Chapter 8, we look at network operating systems, which include file server operating systems. We look at server installation, and we look at virtualization, which is a big deal these days. In Chapter 9, we look at server management and administration. We look at creating users and adding users to groups, and then assigning permissions to the groups to specify which users have access to which files. And we perform network performance monitoring so we can make the decision, is this network operating at 10% capacity, in which case there's nothing to worry about, or is it at 99% capacity and it's about ready to come to its knees? Chapter 10 is about keeping bad guys out. We talk about authentication, authorization, and firewalls. Now, you can take an entire course at this college on firewalls. We just do an introduction to firewalls. And then Chapter 11 is a little bit different. In Chapter 11, we take the point of view that you are going to start your own small business, or you're going to help somebody else set up a small business, and you're going to set up their computer system. So in this chapter, we talk about analyzing an organization's needs and then making recommendations regarding hardware, software, and networking. Chapter 11 ties together a lot of the material that we cover in chapters 1 through 10. In the earlier part of the course, we talked mostly about local area networks, but in Chapter 12, we look at wide area networks. We look at remote access and remote desktop, and we discuss cloud computing. And of course, cloud computing ties everything together. And then the last chapter, we look at the problem-solving process, and we look at troubleshooting tools. 13 chapters to cover. Now let's talk about the format of the class, that is to say what you will be doing each week. The good news is I will let you know exactly what to do. Each week, you got 4 things to do. 1, you read the chapter in the textbook, which is available at the bookstore or online. The textbook can be difficult reading, especially if it's the first time you have read about the topic. Grind through that chapter, and then once you're finished reading the chapter, then 2, you watch the video of the instructor teaching the chapter, and these are videos of me teaching the material just as I do in front of a regular classroom. Then the third thing to do each week is to do simple hands-on exercises. These are not tough exercises. There are 2 ways to go. You can use your own computer, and you will be able to for most things, or you can use the VDI, the Virtual Desktop Infrastructure, and this is where you can connect remotely to CCBC and log on to a virtual machine running Windows 7. And then the 4th thing you do each week is to take the online quiz, and the quiz kind of makes you read the textbook. The quiz is open book. It's multiple choice, and you have 3 opportunities to take this quiz. So I hope we will see everybody getting 80s, 90s, and 100s on these quizzes. Each week, 4 things to do. Read the chapter, watch the video, do the hands-on exercises, and take the online quiz. Grading. Your grade is based on 4 criteria. The weekly quizzes altogether are 20%, so each quiz is worth a little less than 2% of your entire grade. The midterm exam, which is taken online, is 25% of the grade. The project is 20% of the grade, and the project is based on the hands-on exercises. If you've done the hands-on exercises, you've done the project. The project is really just to do every hands-on exercise and to do a print screen of the exercise and submit those print screens as a single file. I'll talk about the project more later. And then the biggest part of your grade is final exam, and that is not open book. For the final exam, you have to come into the college and take the exam at the college testing center. The rest of the class can be taken completely online, but for the final, at the end of the course, you have to come into the college testing center to take the final exam. Questions. If anybody has any questions about anything, please email me, dwittaker@ccbcmd.edu, or if you see any errors in the course, please let me know. In summary, the purpose of the class is to provide an overview of the principles, practices, and technologies of data communications and computer networking. Each week, you read the book, watch the video, take the hands-on exercises, and take the online quiz. What to do next? Well, what you should do next is to log on to Blackboard. Well, you already are logged on to Blackboard, and introduce yourself to the class. State what your major is, what your computer experience is, why you're taking this class, and any personal information that you might want to share, just as a fun way to get to know each other. Then after you introduce yourself to the class, buy the book, either at the bookstore or online. Then read the chapter in the book, watch the video, do the exercises, and take the weekly quiz. Once again, any questions, please email me. Otherwise, this concludes our course introduction. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.